Let's go Brașov! Today is such a long-awaited day. First up is Libearty Bear Sanctuary in Zărnești.
This morning we've travelled to Zărnești to the bear sanctuary, and we've just gone through the bear sanctuary. We're now back in the car, just cooling down because it's hot, it's summer, and you anticipate that, especially when you're outdoors. So the bear sanctuary was fantastic. The tickets were 80 lei for adults and 60 for students. So 140 all up for the both of them. Getting to the bear sanctuary, you do drive along a dirt road, so don't worry, that is the correct road you should be on. So I was a bit worried at one stage. I'm thinking there's still a K and a half to get there, and it's just, you can't see anything, it's just dirt road. So, but stay on track, it is right. Yeah, so the bear sanctuary, you go in, you watch a video about the bears and how the sanctuary was created in the first place, who created it and why. And it is a little bit sad to think that some of these bears have been so mistreated over the years, enough to have a massive sanctuary like this.
Christy and Lydia were my first bear friends. To them and to Maya, I promised that one day they will be free again. Unfortunately for Maya, it was too late. She died in my arms, and she self-mutilated due to her stress. And all our efforts to save her was in vain. This film is dedicated to her.
There's 120 bears here at the moment. The oldest one I think is 41. So, and that bear only actually came into their care 3 years ago, when it was 38 years old. We got to see heaps of bears. There were bears fighting, there were bears, lounging around in water, there were bears. We were actually super lucky because when we were standing at one of the enclosures, the feeding truck came along and we were able to watch the bears get fed. So that was a particular highlight, seeing all the bears eat. The meat stunk. Apparently bears in the wild, actually, they clean up the forest, so they do eat a lot of dead carcasses. Yeah, they call them predators. They're not particularly, they're not predators as such, because they eat a lot of just dead animals mostly, and apparently, and I didn't know this, but 80% of a brown bear's diet is actual vegetables. So they eat grasses, they eat berries, they eat apples, they eat whatever they can find, and only 20% of the diet is meat, and that meat is, like I said, as carcasses, it's other dead animals on the forest floor. So we got to see heaps of them. I got to catch a little glimpse of a wolf before it ran away. Apparently they're really quite shy and don't like humans. If you are in this particular area of Romania, I would definitely recommend visiting the bear sanctuary here. You do have to buy the guided tour and you get taken around. It is quite a steep walk, so it's not necessarily an easy walk, but everyone got around, so that was good. It's a little bit heartbreaking, and I don't know, in a way it kind of questions everything that you do and think about animals and about animal treatment, in terms of animals for entertainment. So it's thought-provoking. It's definitely thought-provoking. And on that note, we are now heading over to Bran Castle, so Dracula's castle at Bran. So this is one of the super exciting things for me to go and visit. So everything else has been amazing, incredible, but this was the one thing on my list when I started researching Romania and what to see that I had to come and see. It was top of the list. We're going to drive over there now. It's a 20-minute drive away or so, and I'm so looking forward to seeing Bran Castle. We're in Bran at the moment, and we came over here from the bear sanctuary, and we stopped and we had some lunch, and it was delicious, and it's really busy here. So this is one of the main attractions here in Romania, Bran Castle. Entrance is 70 lei for an adult and 20 for a child, and a little bit more for a student. And then we also pay an extra 30 lei to do the time tunnel. castle is super busy. There's a bit of a lineup to get in. You're kind of shuffling all the way through. I get it. It is one of the major attractions. The castle itself is absolutely beautiful. It's been preserved so well, and I really did enjoy going through the tunnel. One of my favourite parts is probably through the very narrow, very steep brick staircase, and then coming out onto the balcony as well was a real treat. Now, the time tunnel experience that we did, basically when you are in the courtyard, so you've gone around, you've walked up the ramp, you've gone into the castle, you've kind of walked around it, and you're coming out and you end up at the bottom courtyard. The time tunnel is an elevator that you catch from the courtyard down into a tunnel that then leads you out through the gift shop. Obviously exit through the gift shop as usual, and yeah, it was an extra 30 lei each. Would I consider it worth it? No. No. Look, just walk out. You walk down the beautiful ramp again. There's beautiful trees. It's really lovely. I don't think it was actually worth whatever it was, but look, it's still all part of the experience. If you choose to do it, and that's great. I did it, part of the experience. It's fine. We'll head out, we'll maybe check out some of the souvenir stores while we head back to the car, and then probably head back into Brașov. But yeah, This was a really, really lovely castle. I think the castle on the inside was probably nicer than Corvin Castle, but on the outside, Corvin Castle, like, you can just get that full picture. Oh, and it is just so stunning. But they're both worth it. Absolutely both worth it. And this is Dracula's castle, right? Like, this is apparently where the book is based on. And I have read the book. I found it a tough read. It took me a few weeks to read the book at the time when I was reading like a book a week, right? So it took me 3 weeks. The language was a lot more difficult because it's a lot older. The story's interesting. Remembering the story was written in parts, and so story is written in parts, and so there's a lot of rehashing previous parts of the story, and but still an interesting story. To me though, what I had in my imagination is not what this castle actually looks like. So that's either because my imagination's not very good, which is what I would actually probably put it down to, or it just means myself and Bram Stoker had absolutely different ideas about what the castle actually looks like. Anyway, that's it for now. We've just had some dinner. We went to the Dracula restaurant, and we went there because it was Dracula's restaurant, right? So we thought it was a bit kitschy, so we'd go there. I had a really delicious dinner of bulls. So there's polenta in it, cheese, and sausage and eggs. It was just really, really good. The cheese was incredible. I could only eat like a quarter of it. It was so filling, so dense. And then after dinner, we decided we would walk to Sforii, Strada Sforii, or Rope Street or String Street. So it is a narrow passage that connects two streets here, and it was originally built for firefighters to be able to go in between the two streets. So it's really cute. It's really narrow, down to like 1.1 meters at some point. It's the thing I love is, when you look out and up, you can see the Brașov sign high up on the hill. So it's like just a great little thing to come and see. Last day here in Brașov, and we were just walking around. We were headed somewhere else, but when I saw that the cable car ride was open, I thought we'd come up here instead because I like cable cars and it's nice and cool up here in the mountain. So anyway, we caught the cable car. It's 35 lei each to go up and down. You can pay just for the one direction, and it's 25 lei for either direction singularly or 35 for both. So there's no way in this heat we are walking back down that hill. So currently we are walking on a trail, and I think it's going to take us to the Brașov sign. So I'm hoping. And there's only one trail, so hopefully it takes us to where we want to go. You wouldn't be able to bring a pram up here, I don't think. It's way too rocky and bumpy for that. And steep. just went up to where the sign is, and what I didn't know is that you can't actually get in front of it, so you are standing behind it. So if you are hoping to come up here and get some good photos in front of the sign, I'm sorry, but you won't be able to. But what you will get is absolutely incredible views across the old town of Brașov. So make sure you come up and see it. It's great regardless. We've just gotten down from the cable car and now we're heading to the Weavers' Bastion. So we made our way to the Weavers' Bastion, which was part of the city fortifications back in the 1400s, so a long time ago. We did it for military type, fortifications where people could defend the particular tower. It also served as the guild hall for the weavers, the Flax Weaver Guild. It is a beautiful wooden structure. There is a little museum here on site, and the museum has some really good information. There's a video that plays, and it just details the history of this area and essentially also how the Black Church got its name, which is, it did unfortunately get burned, and the soot did kind of scar the stones that built the church. So we'll be going there a little bit later. But yeah, this is really beautiful. It's really peaceful. There's hardly anyone here visiting. It was 10 lei for an adult. This is fantastic. I love it. We've now made our way to Catherine Gate, which is this beautiful gate over here. It was built in 1559, and it is just a stunning piece of architecture. Was part of the city walls, and it was restored, I think, in the 1970s. But yeah, it's beautiful. This park here is absolutely stunning, and just a nice quiet little retreat away from the hectic nature of the city, even though it's all around us. But yeah, it's a beautiful gate, something out of a fairy tale. church. It costs 20 lei for an adult and 10 for a student to enter. The church is really lovely. The organ's absolutely just stunning. There's some amazing Ottoman carpets on the walls, and well, not on the walls necessarily, but just hanging up. So we're in the car and we're about to leave Brașov, and we're going to head towards Sinaia. If we get there in time, we'll see Pele's castle, but I've checked the maps and it looks as though there's like either construction or an accident or something that's occurred that is putting a fair bit of time into the trip between Brașov and Sinaia. So yeah, we'll just head off and we'll see how we go, and if we get there that's great. If not, looks like we're going to have a relaxing afternoon, which might be nice. But this is our last full day in Romania, and then we are heading on to the next part of our journey. We have finally made it to our accommodation in Sinaia. It took 3 hours almost to drive from Brașov to here, and it was stopping and crawling along for most of that journey. I am so glad to be out of the car, but just if you are going to get a car and you need to make that journey, just make sure it is a Friday afternoon, and all the little towns along the way did look really quite busy. So I'm assuming it's just like kind of like that tourism for the weekend, early start, that's increasing the numbers along this road between Brașov and Sinaia. But either way, it was really, really busy. Gosh, I'm so glad to be out of the car. I had had enough by the end of that trip. I did want to visit Pele's castle in the morning, but I'm a little bit concerned that by the time we do that, and then if there's traffic like this again, we might be, getting to the airport a little bit late, and then we have to contend with all the extra check-in stuff. I don't know. Right now, I just can't think anymore. Like I'm absolutely brain dead from that drive. But yeah, we're here. It's our last night in Romania, and it's a little bittersweet because it's been such an incredible country to visit, and I've loved everything I've done. I've loved. The people have been wonderful. The food's been absolutely incredible. I'm not looking forward to stepping on the scales when I get back home. My pants still fit for now, so that's okay. But I've loved it. I think one of my favourite things, just while we're chatting, one of my favourite things has definitely been the Bran Castle. For sure, Bran Castle, right? Like, it was just, yeah, it was beautiful. It was like out of Harry Potter. Like, it could have been a Harry Potter set. The other thing that I really liked was probably the St. Michael's Cathedral over in Alba Iulia. It just only because of the ambience that was in that particular cathedral while we were there, with the music playing and whatnot. The cathedral, the evangelical cathedral in Sinaia. Now that was really cool. I loved that. And then to climb up the tower, incredible. Yeah, definitely those three things are probably my highlight. Sorry, Bran Castle. I'm just sorry. There was just so many people. But those other places are just as beautiful and should be definitely on your list of places to visit if you do come here as well. Don't just put Bran Castle on because it's out of Dracula. Have a look at some of these other places because they're just as beautiful, just as incredible, and you'll get just as good a cultural experience by going to these other places as well, rather than just Bran Castle. But the whole trip's been wonderful. I can't fold a thing, except for that 3-hour drive. We are now back at Bucharest Airport at OTP, and now this morning we did have a small change of plans. We were going to go to Pele's castle. We thought, we might just have enough time, even if we just look at the outside. But there were road closures, and so we thought, you know what, maybe this is the universe telling us that, don't chance it. Just head back to the airport. You don't want to be late. You don't want to miss your flight. So now we're here early, and we're just waiting for check-in to open for our particular flight. I do have to say though, I am a little bit sad. I have really, really loved the time here in Romania, and and I'm sad it's all coming to an end. But I feel like this is probably somewhere where I could easily come back. And I know I haven't said that about many places, but I really do feel like this is somewhere where I could come back. There's just so much to see here. A week here wasn't enough. 2 weeks probably wouldn't have even been enough. And yeah, I love it here. The people, the food, the culture, the buildings, all of it has been amazing. Now, there is one thing that I do talk about in some of my videos, and that is the price of a regular item that you can pretty much buy worldwide. And my product of choice is the Coke Zero bottle, and this particular one is 500 mils. Now, I do always equate this back to Australian dollars because that's obviously my home currency, and it's the one I'm most familiar with. I've bought a lot of these in the last week because it's been so hot, right? So I swear half of the money I've spent here has been on water and Coke Zero, and maybe a few Prosecco's. Regardless, most of the time these drinks are around 10 lei. So 10 lei, which is the equivalent of $3.28 Australian for today's currency exchange rate. And so the equivalent of this particular drink in Australia, and in Australia we do have 600 ml bottles, not 500 ml, is around $4.50, $4.80 even now. So that's a really interesting comparison about just a regular standard item that you can buy anywhere. I completely underrated Romania as a destination. I think I've heard bad stuff about it in the past, and I don't know why. It all just seems to be myths. It's been wonderful. Actually, there are a few myths. I'm all out. Look, I love TripAdvisor, right? One of my go-to sites when I first start researching things that I kept reading about was how bad the roads were here in Romania. And that has not been my experience at all. And now I know that I stuck to, you know, the highways, the main roads and all that type of stuff. But they were fantastic. They were great. People's driving was great. I don't know, I guess I had these expectations about Romania being something completely different to what it has been. It's been incredible. And if you get the opportunity, you need to come and visit. You need to come and visit.